Well, let's see. Okay, so we're in 2015, but if you think back into the...
I'm in 2015. I don't know where you're at.
Back in the 80s and 70s, late 70s, in the airports, there were a lot of cults that would watch for people.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was just a known thing. People probably don't know that if they don't, study religion like we do. But they would sit there at bus stations and stuff, and they would wait for people to see if they're lonely, and they would try to convince... That's where they'd find a lot of these people, because they were running away. And
yeah, I had somebody stop me one time. I was, literally, I think I was going up to the Grand Canyon or something to see something, and this guy stops me. He's like, hey, man, I forgot what he called this, but it was the religion that Willie Nelson started.
Willie Nelson has a religion?
Yeah, right.
What?
He's like, hey, man, this or that and this or that, and you got to be, more open-minded, man, to this. I'm like, I was nice to him. I was just like, look, I got my own thing here, and no, that's not it. And at that time, I think Willie Nelson had just got, convicted of tax evasion, too.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So I'm thinking, okay, so you want me to follow this guy that just got arrested for tax evasion and for having a bunch of drugs on his bus, and I should definitely follow you. I mean, you obviously got it going on.
My gosh, that's interesting. I should check into that.
He looks at me like I'm nuts.
I think after this podcast, I'm going to Google Willie Nelson cult just to see.
Yeah, I don't know if it was something he was in or something he started. But
yeah.
They were using his name around. I'm like, yeah, that's where I'm going.
We're going to get a call from Willie tomorrow.
Willie.
Hey, what? Well, most people in general can't understand the decision to join a cult. They'd be like, oh, these people are stupid. Why would they do that? The general stats with cults are 2/3 of them are young adults. And they're usually in a period of personal crisis,
broken romances or failures to get a job. Well, that's most of America these days. So
yes.
They'll be in a cult. Colleges of their choice, they didn't get what they wanted. People didn't get what they wanted. Abused, homeless, outcast. And just a desire to belong to something, somewhere, somehow. Perhaps they got low confidence on themselves.
Aww.
Or they're gullible.
Not good.
That's not good. Or they ignore reality and they like fantasy. That's where we're at.
You want to escape reality.
A desire for spiritual meaning. I want to be enlightened. I want to become one with the earth. Go ahead, Earth's made out of dirt and rocks. Good luck with that.
Well, a cult will offer you unconditional love and a new confidence.
No such thing.
Oh, I know.
Unconditional
but
love.
But that's what they teach you.
Yeah.
And a new confidence, they build you up and everything. And mental powers, they'll say those. That you can do this.
I have mental powers. Like when we go to any of the stores or anything. Mm-hmm. And you ever notice that when I enter a doorway, them doors always open for me?
When you wave your hand?
It's not coincidence.
Yeah. Well, that's because when you step on the thing.
No, there's nothing there.
Yeah,
there's nothing there.
You don't open those doors?
No, I do.
Yeah. Well, our son said to me when he was 5, he said, Mom, you got to talk to Dad. I said, Corey, what's wrong? He said, Dad thinks he's opening those doors with his hand. He doesn't know that there's a sensor on the floor. Honey, there's a sensor on the floor.
No, there's not.
Anyways, there is.
You're not going to lie to me.
Most modern cults are persistent, misleading, threatening, and trapping. So they've sort of bypassed. They'll try the nice technique first. Yes. That doesn't work. They're going to suck in through threats,
Right.
But they really came into the spotlight in the 1960s when Charles Manson, when he was when he convinced the members of his family, the Manson family, to commit a series of murders.
Join the family.
You remember that? That was a huge story. I was only 1 when he was convicted, but we lived real close to where that took place in California.
Go figure, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But I know somebody who was actually in a prison, and Charles Manson was being transferred. And I don't know if he was being transferred to a different prison or transferred in a cell or whatever. And I guess Charles Manson's really short. He's like 5'4" or less, and really skinny and scrawny. And the person that I know is 6'1". And he said that when Charles Manson walked past him, and he's like, I didn't know the guy, I know the stories, whatever, but when Charles Manson looked at him, he said his eyes were black. He said it scared him. He said he almost peed his pants. And this is a guy who's 6'1". He's in prison as well. He's a pretty tough type of guy. And just seeing him, and when you get that presence of evil with somebody, it doesn't matter how tall you are, how short you are. Evil's evil, and you will recognize it. So that's sort of creepy. But anyways, okay, so, he convinced all these family members or whatever to commit those murders, and he supposedly believed that there was, like, this impending apocalyptic race war, that whole helter-skelter thing from the Beatles. I don't really know the song.
Beatles are bugs.
The Beatles, the group.
Oh,
yeah.
A group of bugs.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't know that his followers also murdered several other people at other times and other locations, not just the 7 that made the headlines.
Well,
so they were all nuts.
He had them on a little, go here, do this, do that.
I don't think
subliminal, do this.
I don't think he believed that there was some race war going on. I think he just used that to suck them in. I don't think he's not dumb or crazy. He's evil, but I don't think he's crazy.
Manipulative.
I think he's very smart, pretending to be
intelligent.
Crazy. Oh, yeah. In short.
Intelligent in the wrong way, but intelligent.
Yeah, and you know what? You're going to find a lot of these leaders in these cults come from a religious background, a strong religious background, and they're very intelligent.
Yeah, some of them have a good amount of college behind them and have done very well throughout school and everything else.
Yeah, it's crazy. So these cults became...
Lucky for me, no chance.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah. Totally normal.
After the whole Manson thing, cults became interesting to people just because it showed the general public that brainwashing can get them to do anything.
Yes.
So occult activity, or not occulty, cult activity has been
subliminal messages.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Eat chocolate.
I was thinking like, send money.
Send money.
Send money.
P.O. Box. Cult activity has been at the center of some bizarre and unsolved mysteries and murders and unexplained disappearances. You hear about it all the time, but it's almost becoming so normal and natural now. I don't know.
A little disclaimer for you here. TSR does not maintain a list of bad cults. We merely detail groups of public knowledge, and we are not liable for our harsh opinions for their stupid decisions or actions. Just saying.
Because we're going to talk about cults. I don't want anybody to be offended. You don't
know nothing about my occult. Mine is righteous and pure.
Oh, gosh, I know you can't offend anybody anymore.
I know, everybody. And it doesn't matter what topic we talk about. It doesn't matter how careful we are. And we are pretty careful.
Well, we don't get a lot of hate mail, though.
No, not much, but there's a lot of people still offended.
Oh, yeah. Like,
a lot of them will see our point, and they'll say, well, yeah, okay, you made some points, and you get some understanding, but I'm still offended. I'm like, you know what? And that's okay, because I think overall it's a help, but, it's... With society and the way the world is going today, I can tell you that I'm very offended by the fact that people are offended by some of the stuff they shouldn't be offended about.
Well, there's so many rights now, there's no more wrongs. So it's
all the wrongs are rights.
Yeah, it's all confusing.
And the things that were right are now offenses to people. Yeah. And so, but I'm not allowed to say anything because I'm in the... old school normal.
Well, if I look outside and say, oh, it's a beautiful sunny day, somebody's like, how can you say, I love rain? Why do you? She's a rain hater.
Yeah.
She worships the sun god. And next thing you know, I got people burning crosses on my lawn. You never know. You got to be careful now. But we don't have to be.
That would ruin my grass. You know how I'm about that.
I'd be offended that they'd ruin your grass. Yeah, see?
I'm offended that someone would be offended about ruining my grass.
All right, so let's go into some of these popular known cults. One of the ones that stood out right away was Heaven's Gate. I remember that real well, watching the news on this. In 1997, 39 bodies were found in a villa in California. They all had committed suicide. But it starts in 1975, where in Oregon, this couple, they put out these flyers, and they refer to themselves as the two, Bo and Peep. It was really Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. So,
now, Bonnie was a nurse. She was married, kids, and New Age practices and mysticism.
Ooh, she was involved in all kinds
Marshall?
of...
Well, he did. He studies to be a priest at one time. He was married, kids, but he cheated on his wife with men. Okay, well, that's considered normal now. Fired from a job as a Catholic teacher.
But see, it wasn't considered normal back then. And so you know what he does?
It is now, I said.
Right, it is now. But back then...
Yeah, now it's normal.
But back then, it wasn't. And you know what happened? He decides to get castrated because of it. He's so... It doesn't get into details why.
You can only do that once.
That's what he did. He decides because he said he couldn't control his urges to be with men, and since it was considered wrong, he got it chopped off. And then while he's in the hospital, he meets Bonnie, and they form like this friendship.
It's about all they're going to form.
Yes, dear. So nice.
There goes all these she said jokes. Cause
that's what she said. Not.
We're going to work with him.
They claim to come from this higher level in it, basically outer space. They said that they came to help those people who wanted to be helped and transforming into this superhuman level.
That happened to me.
So they taught their members that soon they would all be leaving the human level and literally, physically entering the next evolutionary level in a spaceship.
Spaceship.
Within a few months, of course. It was going to happen like soon. That's what they said in the beginning. So what they did was they started handing out these flyers, and like 300 people came to listen to these two people. And now Applewhite received, supposedly, this vision that actually he takes Revelation chapter 11, which tells of the two witnesses, prophesying for 260 days. So he uses that and says that him and Bonnie are the two witnesses that Revelation...
That's because somebody hasn't read their Bible.
I know. But see, in the thing
see how easy it is manipulated? You're taking something and it's like, if you read your Bible, you're pretty much going to know who these two witnesses already are.
Right, because it pretty much tells you.
Pretty much tells you, but you got to read the whole thing to know who they are.
But obviously these 300 people
didn't... I know who they are.
Who are they, Scott?
I'm not telling.
Okay.
It's self-time.
Actually, there's another cult that we'll find out later on. So, they decide they're going to spread this message, and then they're going to be assassinated, they said, only to be resurrected.
Of course.
And ascend to the heavens in a cloud, which could only be a spaceship, of course.
Of course.
So, these people started believing this stuff. So Bo and Peep, Applewhite and this chick, they visit the International UFO Bureau in Oklahoma City.
Yes.
So they go to this bureau and they tell the people that run it that they need to spread this message. That's how crazy they were. They thought that, I don't know. So anyways.
I'd have loved to have been on duty that day.
But it gets weirder. So this guy does tell the cops about it and gets the cops involved, okay? But here's the thing. The head of this organization, when they came to him, they said, we're going to give you a thought code. When you think of something, no matter where we are, we're going to know you're thinking of us and we're going to call you. Okay? So this guy decides, out of the blue at another time, you know what? I'm just going to try this because he was curious. Just curious. Probably didn't believe it. Guess what? He tried it twice. Both times, these people called him within 5 minutes. They weren't even around. So that's just sort of weird. But that's how the adversary works. It's a spiritual thing. It is.
What was the word?
I don't know. They didn't tell us. I don't know.
I don't think they're going to call us.
They're dead now, honey. So
they're going to get resurrected, according to what you read.
A long time ago, they were supposed to get resurrected. Their whole thing just blew
Did you
up.
know everybody on the entire planet? Maybe they were.
No. Well, months after this, he tries it, and he starts getting involved with this because he's starting to believe it a little bit. Okay, so he joins this group, and they target UFO believers and New Agers, and this guy sort of helped them along. In September 1975, they hold this meeting where dozens of people attend, and at that meeting, all these people decide they're joining right away, and they take up and leave from the meeting and give up their entire life.
These must be some darn good speakers.
Or just they found the right people because...
Or something, yeah.
So all these people go missing.
Because, even me, I might have gone to something like this where I'm at now in my life just to see how crazy these people are.
Yeah, I guess.
I want to go check this out. How nuts are they? I just want to see.
Well, to be honest, okay, so when I was in my early 20s...
Don't tell me, Heidi.
No, don't worry. I didn't join a cult or anything. Just listen. Remember Waco? David Koresh, okay? Yeah. So, and I can't remember if it was the movie I think it was the movie about it. After it had happened, they did a whole movie and documentary, I think it was. And I was very much into spirituality. And I was sort of turning away from Christianity because I was taught incorrectly. And I saw so many wrong things. I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. But you're saying it is. And I got confused. So I turned away, which most people do when you're not taught the truth. And I was in my 20s, so I didn't think to pick up a Bible and read it myself to figure it out. So I'm open to anything. So I'm watching this documentary, and I'm watching how charismatic David Koresh was. And after the documentary, I remember turning to a friend of mine and saying, you know what? I would have followed